right, and welcome to a MG Rogue Tuesday broadcast. This is a live stream mini painting and trash talking session, and I have with me Robert
Stitch and bitch.
That's right, that's right. And I have with me Rollo and Robert. And somebody
Rollo, the birthday boy.
That's right. Happy birthday, you old bastard.
You.
You're what, 60?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm 90.
Nice.
Even older than I
70.
am.
Yeah.
By like a couple of months, but yeah.
Bull
this is also the debut of the new cam or the new setup here for this. So.
Fantastic.
Oh man, yeah, this works way better. Okay.
That's nice, yeah.
And I have the ability to do like there we go, man.
Cool.
How awesome is this?
That's very awesome. The top down kind of thing.
Now see on Sunday do that. On Sunday, Rollo, when you're doing your show, not that you have trouble filling out time, but you ought to have special Ned super chats that if they send you like so much, you'll flip on the Ned cam so they can see Ned.
I know I should. I should do that. I should make that like a special thing. Like just all you have to do is like it won't even be that much. I'll just make it like a $10 super chat, and it'll be like a Ned chat, and then you get like 1 minute of Ned.
A shot of Ned. A shot of Ned licking his nads.
Yeah, 1 minute of Ned. Here we go.
Although that's not quite putting Ned on OnlyFans, but you're keeping him off OnlyFans so that he's just on YouTube.
So.
Yeah, exactly. I like it. All right, so what's everyone working on today?
Well, I have a few little weird things. I was gonna build, but then I thought, you know what? I haven't painted in so long. I might just go with painting here.
Yeah,
but I tell you what. I don't know if you guys know Red Rass, I think is what it's called, games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they do like wet palettes like that I'm using here today.
Yeah,
right.
And I have to say I haven't used this wet palette in ages, and it's still like I opened it up and the
still moist.
Yeah, still moist.
It's
yeah,
moist.
So
yeah,
I might finish up. I might finish up, Mr. Simply because I saw you doing an owlbear too. I might.
Yeah. He's actually in the background.
And here's the spiciest one. This right here. I don't think it's.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. Everything's like backwards and to the left. This is very old. This is not Grenadier. I thought it was Grenadier. It's actually a heritage miniature.
Oh, nice.
From like 1978.
Shit, that's awesome.
I dug it out of my. I used to have this model back when I was probably like 12 or 13, and I painted. It was like one of the first models I painted, and I don't know what happened to it. And so like I found this online, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna repaint it and see how I can do it. Like it's like one of those projects where you do it when you're repainting something that you haven't, that you painted in the past, but like now you can do do a real job of it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna reposition my camera a little bit here too.
Okay.
I think it's a little too far forward.
Nice. So you're gonna do those today?
Yeah, I'll show you some other stuff here too. Like here's are you doing BattleTech?
Yeah, I'm doing BattleTech, and I've got a cleric with a Warhammer and shield that I'm going to paint up for our Viking game with Drew as the DM. So that's cool. On the slate for the day. Which, by the way, you need to make a new character for that game.
Yeah, I do. I really do. You are correct, sir.
And then Noble's friend Jared wants to play in that one, so we'll have to get him going up and running for sometime in the mid to late April.
Well, considering how quickly characters die in that game, having extra players.
I know. At least Drew's playing it like. At least Drew's playing it right,
Yeah.
Well, we need.
If you're gonna die, if he dies, he dies.
Show game. Exactly. We need one continuation show game where no one's not dying too much.
You know what? Let me throw that here. So this is the new studio, by the way, just because I don't think anybody has really seen my new. This is how big the new. Although you can't really see this right here. Hold on. But
you get some oil lamps in there.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, those are actually my Nanoleaf lights. So you can see. I don't think I've ever done a full pan of the studio before.
No, I don't believe so.
Oh,
But, I'm over here in the corner. I got
I've
this, and
never
I
seen
got
this before.
there's a whole behind me. There's a big old bookcase, and there's a whole bunch of other shit that's in there too. But that back there is where I keep all my gear for the show, and then I also keep on the second side over there's where my hobby stuff is, and I keep my airbrushes and everything up here too. So
cool.
So yes, in case you're wondering, I am a full up nerd.
That's right. Thanks.
He's a nerd.
I tried to warn your audience on Sunday about that.
Yeah. Thanks for the. I think it was at the 22-minute mark. Thanks for the shout out.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's cool.
Of course.
I want to rip that and turn that into a commercial.
I know. Well, I'm trying to help out a little bit because I have some people who go, "Hey man, I heard you play D&D, bro." I'm like, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah, you
like,
son of a
why
bitch.
don't you? I do it all the time. In fact, I do it so often that I don't even think to talk about it all that much. But I guess I want to at least blow us up a little bit because I'm feeling like maybe this is a stupid pipe dream, but I think it would be kind of fun if we at least got to the point where it was like sort of like a red pill version of playing D&D, like not unlike like the alternatives like Critical Role or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind any of that. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Do you guys know who Nerdrotic is?
Yes, I do. In fact, I tried 2 years ago to get you and him hooked up, and
well, it's going to happen.
His wife said she would do it, but it was one of those things where she wanted to be on the show with you.
Was that who just followed? Hang on a second. Someone just followed me.
Was it Nerdrotic? It might be. I've been talking about you guys. Oh, was it X-Ray Girl? Is it X-Ray?
Yeah,
Girl?
that's her.
Yeah, X-Ray Girl. Yeah. Okay. So here's the deal. No. Okay. So just can you guys see that? Okay. Yeah.
Yep,
okay,
Nerdrotic producer. I thought that sounded familiar when I saw the bio.
Yeah. So
Rogue Energy. All right.
let's see if I can check. I'm trying to get I have to do like this compromise between the perfect camera angle and actually being able to paint the miniature at the same time.
Right.
But no, so X-Ray Girl, she hit me up and she said, "Hey, I love your stuff." And she also has another show that's called what is it? Pour Choices, POUR Choices. And it's kind of like I hate to even call it this, but it sounds like it's kind of like
a wine thing.
Well, it's maybe, I don't know if that maybe they drank. I haven't really watched the whole thing. It's a fairly new show, but she's one of the producers, I guess, of Nerdrotic. And
that's what her bio says.
I've been watching those guys for a while, but like off and on. I sub to them, but I don't really, I mean, unless it shows up as like, live now, I'm probably not going out and look at it. But because it's just, I mean, I like it because it's enjoyable, but I only do it when I have a chance to actually go look at stuff like that. But they hit me up and they said, "Hey, we're going to be in town in Vegas on April 28th, I think. Which was strange to me because I had been talking to Chrissy Mayer. You guys know who Chrissy Mayer is? M-A-Y-R?
Yes.
Okay, so Chrissy Mayer also, she follows me. I follow her. I've known her for a while, but not just sort of like, we're just Twitter friends. I've never really met her in person. And she's a comedian, and she's like a tradcon. I don't say tradcon. She's like sort of let's just say conservative comedian, I guess.
Women aren't funny anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's like she goes, "I know, I'm a comedian. I'm one of the 10% though." I'm a female comedian.
I'll be the judge of that.
I was laughing hard too because she watches me enough to know that that's like what Myron says. Oh, yeah. I'm like, "Oh, you've been doing your homework, have you?" She's like, "Yep." So I was talking to her. She's going to be in town. I wanted to get her on Access Vegas, but the night that we do Access Vegas is the night that is the night of her gig. So we can't actually have her on the show. So me and Mike, we're going to have her on like the 26th in the evening, or maybe earlier in the afternoon on Thursday the 27th, just for an interview kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think we might have X-Ray Girl on Access Vegas with us on Thursday night on the 27th. So I'm trying to see if that's going to be a possibility. And the only reason I was even considering it is because she does the Poor Choices show that is like, it's kind of like a date. I don't say it's a dating show, but it's kind of like a more like nerd highbrow version of like the chicks from Barstool Sports, you know. But
well,
but they're
her bio says something about being into wine.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they drink during the show. It features heavily in their advertising, so I'm fairly certain of that.
Yeah,
I think so. Now we have to. So this is my flex. Okay, I don't own a Lamborghini or a McLaren, but I do own some of the most expensive paint brushes known to man. They are these. What is it? The Sable.
The red sables.
Yeah, they're the mink hair ones. I forget what's called. It's Kolinsky. They're Kolinsky Sable brushes, and these are. There's a reason they come in like this, like case here. Let's see if I can back it up a little bit. There's a reason it comes in this kind of case, because these things are like bloody expensive.
Yes,
and I have, and you can see I rarely use them, but I figured I'd break them out for just this show today.
Really.
I do believe my paramour has a set of those, because she actually has painted competitively and has medaled at ReaperCon. In fact, she medaled at ReaperCon, her very first competition.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
I have let's see, what have I? Oh, what have I got here? Let's see if I got this. Back in the day when I was more of a nerd and less of a YouTube celebrity, I actually did stuff like this.
Oh shit!
You see, that's 2007.
Yeah.
So I have earned a few of I've got my bona fides anyways for painting. Gosh, that's funny because I have had to sort of pare things down a little bit, because I got in my garage I have like two areas, one where I work on my guitars and the other one where I sort of like do like workshopy kind of stuff, and then I've got a whole bunch of my collection continues downstairs in the cabinets and shit. I'm actually Robert Cosland, only I just like tuck it away probably more efficiently.
You have more closet space.
Yes, I keep it in the closet.
Rollo comes out of the closet tonight.
I have more rooms filled with stuff, but
dude, this is so cool. I got this. I found this online, and it's called. Have you heard of this, Robert? Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Dogs and Bones. Yeah. It's like a custom like resin cast. Is it a game? Maybe it's a game. I don't know if it's a game or not.
Sounds like a game.
But it's little dogs. They're like a kind of cartoon, like almost. I don't want to say chibi, but they're not really chibi. They're something. But anyway, so I have the model Vanamoto Musashi, which is a Shiba Inu. And I got it because it looked just like Hero.
Yeah.
So what I was going to do is I'm going to paint this up for Fresh, but I'm going to paint the Shiba to look like Hero.
Nice.
And then I'll give it to Fresh.
Now, Chrissy and X-Ray Girl and Star Wars Girl and some of them also do a show I think called the Simp Cast. Where
do they? I don't know enough about them to.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I see stuff because
we were just talking about this.
Yeah, I used to follow Nerdrotic and Doomcock.
Like, tell me about them so I know what I'm getting myself into here, because like I follow Chrissy and I like her a lot, but she does Nerdrotic, but she mainly does the Friday Night Tights. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, is that like a sideshow or some like other channel thing they do?
That is a show Nerdrotic does that features Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers and also Ryan.
That's not Jeremy. Is that Jeremy from The Quartering?
He sometimes is a guest on it, but no, this is the one from Geeks and Gamers and Ryan from Geeks and Gamers, and Ryan's also got his own channel. And
remind me to tell you about my history with Jeremy from The Quartering.
Well, you never punched him at Gen Con or anything.
No, that wasn't me. I did not do that. But I remember when that happened in 2018.
Yeah, I remember when it happened. I remember.
Oh, were
when
you
it
there?
happened too. Yeah, up until the bug of unknown origin happened, killing
Mhm.
Gen Con, and then Gen Con's
The clap.
ridiculous
Just call it the clap.
rules. Yeah,
Kung
and Gen
Flu?
Con's.
Everybody was Kung Fu fighting.
I usually call it Captain Trips. Just see if
Yeah,
anyone,
yeah.
gets it.
I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I figured you and Vince would, but
Yeah.
anyway, the last couple of years they've required masks. The year before that, they required mask
that shit.
and mandatory vaccination and stuff
Why I
like
didn't go
that.
to
And I'm like,
Necronomicon.
screw you guys, I'm not going. And I used to make money at Gen
Necronomicon
Con.
is so fun.
I worked with artists at Gen Con. I posed for art at Gen Con. I wore costumes as a booth babe, essentially, for Gen Con. One of the few guys.
Your eye candy, your booth candy.
Yeah, I was booth candy.
What size is your chainmail bra?
Hey,
you rocking a D?
Tell you what, when I'm lifting, those suckers are practically double Ds.
There you go.
Like
but
dude, own it. Just own it, dude.
You had to think
better
for a
if you
minute.
just own it.
You had to think for a minute there, didn't you? Like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, how big are my tits?
Yeah,
dude.
Well,
dude, I
don't play with them as much as I used to.
All I got to do is get back to the SDA. You'll be in peak shape.
There you
go. Yeah. Well, my problem with the local SCA here, when I was of age to actually look into officially joining, I went, checked them out, and they were all such douchebags,
pretentious pricks. Yes.
I'm like, I want nothing to do with this. So I was at Dragon Con, I don't know, 2012, 2015, something like that, and I'm wearing about 75, 80 pounds of chainmail armor because I had a full shirt, the coif and everything, and Norman style helm, and had a tabard which were in my colors of black and blue. And apparently, I guess the kingdom down there, there's a kingdom down there that's their colors.
Where is this?
This was a Dragon Con down in Atlanta, Georgia, which
is
like World Series for costuming.
Yep.
So
man, cosplays have become such a big deal. I remember when I've never done cosplay, I mean, other than like maybe a Renaissance fair, I guess, if that counts, but like that's after my time, really. But I mean, like, but I do see it. Like, if you go to the San Diego, well, I don't know if it's still at San Diego, but San Diego Comic Con and MegaCon in Orlando, and not Necronomicon so much because that's really a gamers thing, but like MegaCon, Comic Con, and I didn't know that they were that militant there.
Well, it was one of those things. It just is a really big deal, and you will see better costumes at Dragon Con than you will even at San Diego. So. But I mean, it's always been a part of fandom, but I mean, it was called the Masquerade. And if it was anything, it was basically a way of wearing the look of whatever tribe you belonged to. I mean, if you were into like British sci-fi Doctor Who, that's what you were dressed as. If you were into, Star Trek, that's what you were dressed as. So it was just a way of delineating what group you belonged to within fandom back in the day. But now I even hate using the term cosplay because it comes from Japan and it actually means something there as opposed to the way it's just been a catch-all term.
Here, is that working?
Here it's just thrown around.
Yeah. See, I don't know anything about the history of cosplay. The most I know about cosplay is really like just from a few friends, and then like I think Mac from Mac.
Yeah.
Our gamer friend Mac.
Yeah. Who we were talking about earlier is one of the few women that it's like Vince and I would like, we do stuff with Mac because
she's cool. She
really
is. She's proven herself, put it that way.
Yeah. Everyone else can go lick.
Yeah. But
go lick.
So anyway, this lady came up to me and she's like, "Are you a member of the SCA?" And I guess the look I got on my face was such that she's like, okay, there's a story there. So she asked me to explain. And so I did. And I won't go into all that here. But anyway, the group I met from the SCA down in the Atlanta area seemed really, really nice. And if they were the people I would have met back in, 1984 or 85, I might have considered joining. But the ones locally here in Indiana just
kind of a waste.
I'm not real good at kissing ass. It's not my personality type, which made 8 years in the military kind of interesting, but
right.
you know.
I didn't know you were in Indiana.
Yes. Yes, I am in Indiana, although I've been around other places as well, but.
Is that where you're from?
Yes.
Wow.
I was born on race day. In fact, my maternal grandfather had to drive through the traffic in front of the Speedway there on 16th Street to get me to Methodist Hospital to be born. So,
damn.
Yeah. But, yeah, so I was born. In fact, I think he dropped my maternal uncle off at the track on the way to the hospital. Take my mom to the hospital.
So I'm gonna go run some horses.
It's like I got some numbers here. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So,
win, place, and show, baby.
Hey man, you can't win if you don't bet.
That's right. I used to go to the Garden State track all the time in the 80s and 90s.
Well, this is for auto racing.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking about
the Indianapolis 500. That little race.
That one.
There you go. I was thinking of horse racing for some reason.
But yeah. So anyway. But anyway, thanks for having me on your show Sunday.
Oh yeah, I was throwing out the invite to everybody and anybody. It was
yeah, I was out and about.
I'll tell you what's funny is like only 2 people like know what a roast is. And
some of us aren't old. Other people aren't old enough to have grown up with the Dean Martin celebrity roast, which was absolutely
Dean Martin, Don Rickles, yeah.
Oh, those were hilarious.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because the only person who did any like prep work for it was Torsha.
Yeah.
and I should say, and then Travis from Sticky Paws did.
So there were only 2 people gave you some shit.
Yeah, I was expecting more shit.
Wow, that's disappointing.
Well,
it's like you specifically did this to have people roast.
Well, it's like, but then people go, "Oh, you mean I could just talk shit about you?" I'm like, "Well, yeah,
that's what it means.
It's not, but it's not quite that, though, right?" You know?
Yeah.
No, it's they're like you're still being complimented, but in a backhanded kind of way.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Is that's how it's supposed to. That's what a roast is, right?
Yeah. Oh, dung is fun. Thank you for that $2 super chat.
Not me,
Who's
man.
drinking Bud Light tonight? No, This is coconut water. It looks like fucking diluted
coconut water.
It looks like diluted piss, but it's coconut water.
Well, Bud Light looks like diluted piss too. So, I mean,
I don't. It's very rare that I drink Bud Light. That's a Rob thing.
I don't drink Bud Light ever anymore. Not now.
No.
With friends like Bull Rush, who needs leprosy?
Yeah.
I think he was making fun of the fact that trans dude is like now fronting for.
Oh yeah, that's a travesty. That don't even get me started with that shit.
Oh man, I'm surprised Jedediah Bila hasn't like lost her shit on that just yet. Maybe she has. I just haven't seen it. But that's got her name right. Like Jed, if you haven't seen that, it's probably coming.
Alex wants to know what are you guys' favorite dice?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You go first. I'll tell you mine later. Dice? You mean like brand of dice?
Well, we'll go with that. Yeah. As far as brand, I like basic shit. Chessex is fine with me. I have a few metal sets, and I forget the names. They're like little boutique places that make them. Machine cast metal dice. I do like bone dice, but they're on the expensive side, but they're still kind of cool to have.
I have.
I have like a bunch of different sets. You can never have too many sets of dice.
That is true. That is absolutely true.
Right?
I am going to.
This fucking chair is ready to collapse under me. Holy shit. This fucking cat. All right, so this Zorn.
My favorite dice. Chessex is okay. So it kind of depends on what the purpose of the thing is. Like I have
box.
Let's see. I have. So the dice I use on the show all the time are these right here. Let's see if I can throw those out there. There we go. These are just Chessex.
Oh yeah, they're the best. Yeah.
They're just. I like to get them like. I know everybody has like these multicolor dice and stuff.
No, I like the single colors.
Yeah, because I mean, the reason why is because I'm used to using dice like this, like a brick like this, because that's what war gamers use. We use big ass bricks of dice all the time because we're just using 6-sided.
Same with BattleTech. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so you're using just a grip of dice every time I mean, at least you better be. You should be using a grip of dice when you're playing Warhammer for sure. But then I also have this is my box of shame. These are dice from. Let's see, can I show? Yeah, there we go. These are dice from God knows how many different
500 different board games.
Like this right here. This is funny. Okay. Let's see if Robert can guess where this is from. Can you see that?
Vaguely. That looks like one of the old box die from the basic set.
No, it's not specific. See the top.
Is that the Omega? Oh, from Warhammer, isn't it?
No, it's not. Although I have those.
Yeah.
No. This green one. That's the dice that you used to get with a card game called Nuclear War.
Oh, I remember that game.
Okay.
That was one of my favorite ass games back in like when I was in high school. Really, it was one of my favorite games. Then this dice right here, that's out of the first box set.
The basic set. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's out of first basic.
The blue.
This is out of the basic too. It's so early that all of it. It has like there's no it's only single digits, right?
Yep.
So you had to make some of them like one color and the others different, so that if it was like a 12, it was like a yellow, because you had to mark the dice yourself. They didn't have the ability to do this shit right here where they could put that on. Yeah. And I hate to be that guy, but but when I watched Stranger Things for the last one, and they were playing D&D, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. They even had like miniatures like this, on the table. I was like, fuck, they thought of everything until they threw the dice, and I'm like, no, they didn't have that. They did not have this in 1986 because they couldn't do double digits on a 20-sided dice back then. And this is my effing dice. Why? Because it says effing. Nice. That's the one. If you roll a 1, you get that fucking. Oh man. Jesus. What else?
We have a question too. Do you guys buy the figures or 3D print them?
These are, by the way, these right here are percentage dice from Star Frontiers.
Oh yeah, Star Frontiers. We gotta get you running a game soon.
And then I do. I really would love to do that. See these dice right here? Got another. These are weighted dice. They'll always roll 5s or 6s.
Nice.
And then these are the old school Warhammer scatter dice that they no longer use. But these were I got like so many of these because they were so necessary back in the day. But yeah, it's fun. That's why I can keep these around, because it's kind of nostalgia factor. Like this, this is the 6-sided dice that came with the 1979 like blue box with the dragon on the front of it. That's from the original one. So I think I got 2 of those, and then I might have a 4-sided dice from that set too somewhere in here. But yeah, I just keep this around because sometimes like when we're playing, and I'm running if I'm running a shit ton of goblins, and they're all going to hit you, I'm not going to roll them individually. I'm just going to roll a shit ton of dice. Just go with it. Yeah.
8 20-siders.
What was the other question?
I answered for myself, but figures. I 3D printing is just too time intensive for me. I don't mind buying them that are 3D printed, but I usually outsource. I personally don't 3D print.
I have a few that I have printed. I have the additive one, I don't have the resin one, although I want to get a resin one because I subscribe to a few STL sites like on Patreon. They're just absolutely amazing miniatures, and the only place you're ever going to get them is on those sites. So I'll order from them just to get the digital files. And right now I've got more digital files that I know what to do with, and I don't have a resin printer. I have the additive kind with the spool, and that's great for like doing big models like vehicles and stuff, which I have printed like tanks and stuff, but I have yet to. I don't have a a resin printer yet, but it's definitely on the to buy list for the summertime. The problem is I can't do it until it warms up here, because I would be doing, if it's a resin printer, the shit smells, right? So it's got to be done in the garage, and if it's like 20 degrees in the garage, forget it. I'm not gonna bother going out there to mess around with it. So, but when this, when it warms up, we're in spring already. So when it starts warming up and I can like comfortably go in the garage, I might actually go get a pretty decent resin printer and see what I can do. Because there's a lot of guys in the in case you didn't know, in Reno there are plenty of game stores here. The one I personally go to all the time is Comic Kingdom, because the guy who is the owner, Cody, is one of my good friends from way back in the day. And so I usually go there, and he's the one that got me into 3D printing, actually.
Oh, okay.
And so he does it quite a bit. And like, if I ever have a problem, he's the one I go to help me solve that problem. Gotcha. But there's a lot of guys that are into it here, and they print off full armies. I've yet to do that, but I have bought some of their models, but I haven't actually printed them yet. It's not that I wouldn't like to. I would. It's just like I got so many fucking hobbies and things I do as it is. So.
You got to pick and choose.
Yeah, I got the time. I wish I could. I wish I could do more of this stuff. There was a day where I did this, like I would paint all the fucking time, and it was always what was the next tournament and when's the next. Right. When's the next event? Because
next game's tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I would love for you guys to come out to RageCon, which is the only real convention that we have in Reno. I think I believe it's the end of June. I'm not exactly sure what the dates are just yet, but I believe it's the end of June. And this is the first year that it's really kind of back up to full strength because of the beer bug. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so 2021, they didn't even do it at all. Of course, they didn't do it in 2020. They didn't do it in 2021 because it was just too, I mean, it's a mom and pop kind of operation as it is. That's what I like about it. And then, but it's actually a pretty big, pretty decent convention, considering this is, it's done at the Nugget at Reno. But, but it's a really fun, we have a really tight group of gamers out here, as well as musicians, I should say too. Right. But RageCon's a lot of fun, or has been. And then 2022, it came back, but it wasn't quite, they were just kind of like ramping it back up again. And so this year is they are like I showed you, they're already promoting as far out as, like February and March for a June thing. And because they know they're going to have a lot of people. So that's why I was going to see if you guys wanted to come out for that, because you could stay at the Nugget. It's fairly cheap too. Yeah.
Maybe a possibility.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to go up to GaryCon, but with everything that's been going around the last couple of years, I haven't, because they were having masks and stuff too, although they didn't this year. And it's just one of those things that I was just waiting to see if things would get slightly back to normal, because that's just a, I don't know, 6-hour drive for me. Maybe
it's not bad.
Yeah,
is that still in what, Lake Geneva?
Yes.
Yeah, it's GaryCon though, right? It's not Gen.
Right. No, it's Gary.
No, it's Gary. It started because everyone who was at Gary Gygax's wake played D&D after the funeral was over, and they decided to make it a thing every year around the anniversary of his death.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I guess it's just about playing D&D. Then it's not like Gen Con where it's all this big expo for the next.
No, it's not commercialized bullshit.
No, it's people playing all kinds of different games. So there's all kinds of different games going. They do have a dealer's room. In fact, an artist friend of mine has been. Well, he's been a guest in the past. He's also done the artwork for their program. And he usually always is set up there with his artwork. So, so yeah, we'll see. Maybe I can work it in the schedule next year. Well, hey, Rollo, since you're an old man now, and I know you've got lots of stuff, between band.
Do you think I can hang out with Aaron Clary now?
Yeah.
Why would you want to?
Yeah, why would you want to? Is really the first question.
What the hell's wrong with you?
But I don't know.
He does have my Camaro right now. I'm just saying. I can't say too much shit about him because I know I'll take it off road if I don't.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That was your first mistake.
But do you see a time, sometime, say in like 10 years, where you're going to be like, okay, I've done all I can do. I'm going to basically retire, which will be,
10 years.
Well, I don't know. I mean, do you have a plan like that for retirement?
Well, I will never retire. I can tell you that right now.
Well, I know you're always going to be writing stuff like that, but as far as I've got to show.
Yeah. By the way, I gotta finish the edits on our anthology too.
I was also going to ask you about the how's it coming with the.
I'm just about that. The thing that I have trouble like writing it. I'm all into it, but then like I'm working on the edits right now, and I'm kind of doing it in between like what I have to do for a living. But very soon. I mean, the cover is easy enough. That's it. That won't take me, but like not even half a day.
Just logging through your edits.
Yeah, I'm just working on the edits for because I me, man. I always go over when it comes to like our word count and and
you can as long as
paring it back a little bit.
Well, as long as it's around 25,000. I mean, that's
Yeah. Well, that's it. So
because that's about what mine is. I think between all four of us, it's going to probably be close to 80,000, almost 100,000 words. So it's going to be a weighty tome.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's going to be it's good because it's going to mean it's going to be a good piece of work there. But to answer your question though, Robert, I mean I think about that stuff occasionally, especially now because I have a feeling like I will put out posts on Twitter just to bait people right now because I mean just because like I'll go and I'll put out posts with me hanging out with like porn stars.
Oh, I saw that one with the lines. You're like, hey, come up.
Here you go. Yeah, I know.
Here
you go. Green Line Mafia. Have at it.
Fucking idiots.
Because I know that's what they're gonna do, and it's like I do that because. Like if you go and you look at the engagement on those posts, it's fucking great. It's fucking great. Yeah. Like please keep going. Yeah. So I do that on purpose too. So because I know what they're gonna do, right? And so like when people go, "Don't you have a wife?" Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Oh, I do. You're right. Fuck, I forgot.
Well, what's funny is like you've got that group that are like, "Aren't you married?" And then you've got the other guys that are like, "Oh, he's just a married beta.
How can he be married?
He hasn't had a girlfriend or dated in like 30 years.
He hasn't seen a new vagina in 28 years. Fuck him.
So it's like it's funny. It's like you guys ought to get together and get your story straight because it's either one or the other. You guys can't.
Well, that's been my joke. That's been my ongoing joke for a long time. It's like I can't be red pill because I'm married, and I can't be married because I'm red pill.
You can't win. Fuck.
There's no way to win, and so. Since it's Kobayashi Maru and you and I and Robert are the only ones who know what that means. It's a no-win situation. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to lean into it and I'm going to fuck with people and they're going to get all literal and everything. And I'm going to laugh in your face because you're so fucking predictable that it's entertaining for me, if no one else.
Well, they wind up outing themselves for the retards that they are.
Yeah.
That's just what it comes down to.
So I just, I do realize this though. It's like, I'm not going to be, I mean, maybe I'll turn into like Red Pill Thor at some point because Red Pill Thor's the oldest guy I know in the sphere. Well, besides, I mean, I guess if you don't count Robert Kiyosaki as part of the sphere, Red Pill Thor's probably the oldest dude in here. And you wouldn't even know looking at him that he's 60, right?
He's pushing 70.
Yeah. Who? Red Pill Thor?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Because he told me he was in. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. He did say he was in his 60s. He did not say what 60s he was. But
he's about 65, 66.
But he's got it going on for being 65.
He's a good dude. I mean, he's a solid dude.
He's in better shape than 90% of the freaking 25-year-olds I know. So
yeah,
that says something. I'll tell you, it's funny. Is did you guys know Ed Lattimore?
Yeah,
I know of him personally.
With him.
Yeah.
He's over here on the East Coast.
Yeah, I've known Ed for forever, and Ed had a really great saying. He says, "The older you get, the more being in shape becomes a flex." And I'm like, "Yep,
it's not wrong."
I'm like, yep. And I keep looking at myself and I look at my wife and I go, man, we are in better shape certainly than 75% of the U.S. population.
Right.
So, so I think we're doing okay in that respect. But the other thing is, if this is the state of like the manosphere and the internet right now, I mean, I'm 55 right now, right? So, and by the way, I'm breaking a rule by saying that because like Pat Campbell always told me never to reveal my age. Honestly, Pat Campbell, I didn't know how old he was until he passed away. Like on his obituary that's when I found out that he was actually like, 11 years older than I was. And but I don't really think in terms of age now, right? I go on Myron and Fresh. I'm still the oldest dude in that room. I'm the whitest dude and the oldest dude in that room. And I don't really. People say, "Oh, I don't really see color." I'm too busy like doing
too many
shit.
other things to exactly.
I have too much going on to really like say,
care about that crap.
Do I belong here with these youngsters? I've never in my life had that occur to me at any point in doing this or doing what I do, just sort of in general. And so I have no idea how old either one of you guys are. So as far as I know, if we do cool shit together, I don't give a shit how old you are.
I am 53.
But apparently everybody on Twitter thinks that I am trying to recapture my youth and become 14 years old again.
It's like you never lost it. Fuck off.
Yeah.
And that's why I like being that's why, and by the way, me and Ryan talk about this too. It's like, because Ryan, I think of Ryan as sort of like, Ryan is like the perfect sarcastic son of a bitch, right? But nobody gets it. I get it and I laugh, but everybody thinks he's dead ass serious all the time. And it's like, no, dude, he's fucking with you. He's tricking
most of what
you.
he says is fucking with you.
Yeah, he is tricking you. He's like, I call him the Voltaire of the manosphere. He just God makes a joke and he's the only one that gets it, right?
We've got a couple of questions here real quick. Red Corvette was wanting to know what kind of paints we were using, and I'm using paints from Reaper, their Master Series paints, and I'm also using Tamiya acrylics as well. So that's what I'm using. So if you guys want to pipe up with what you're using,
well,
I've got the Army Painter and Privateer Press.
Army Painter is Vallejo, right?
That's a very interesting.
He does. I think he does. He does pair up with them as well. But this, the Army Painter does a lot of the D&D stuff.
Okay.
But I like them because they're made in Denmark.
Oh, cool.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, instead of China, which is where all Games Workshop paints come from.
I would not buy anything from China.
Okay, so since you asked, I use. Hold on, let's see if I can pull it.
All right, what the hell am I gonna do for his teeth?
These are the paints that I use. Let's see if you can see.
That going over there.
There we go.
Oh, cool.
So these are a mishmash of. I have what are these? Scale 75 back here. I use whatever I think. I use whatever colors I can find. Most of these are rebottled Games Workshop paints. And then I have some Model Air stuff, which is Vallejo. But that's what I shoot through the airbrush. And then this is my airbrush side of things over here. Let's see if I can back it up a little. That's my airbrush side. And so I use those. I use Model Master stuff. I use Vallejo for my metallics because I hate Citadel metallics.
Made in Denmark.
And then I have some Reaper paints. I just use whatever. I'm not really concerned so much with the actual paint brand itself as I am like the quality of that particular paint that I need at that time. So I have been on the lifelong quest of finding the perfect red because I'm always painting like my Tyranids are red, my Blood Angels are red, my World Eaters are red because I play Chaos World Eaters. And so I'm always looking for that really bright ass red all the time. And so there's another, forget the high pigment paints that are out right now. I want to say they're by a company. The only place I've ever seen them, is from a company called Creature Caster. And they're resin models, but they also sell a line of paints. And I forget the name of the paints. Also, there's maybe you're aware of this. There's a company called Green Stuff, and it's basically like hobby paints and glues and special effects kind of thing. Like if you want to do like spider webs or something on your model, they have like stuff for that. But they have a really good line of paint. I'm looking for like high pigment paints depending on what I'm trying to paint. Like if I'm doing something that's military and it's gritty, like if I'm doing like Imperial Guard, that's more like military modeling. So I'm looking for like pigments, like dry pigments to make it look like a modern military kind of stuff. But then if I'm painting Zinch or Slanesh, then I need some like bright ass neon purples and pinks and blues and golds and stuff like that. So it just sort of depends on what I'm looking for. But I don't look for a particular brand of paint so much as I look for whatever the best color is that I'm working on at that time. So if that makes sense. For instance, right now I'm using, these are testers. These are lacquer here actually, but they're model master lacquers. But I use them because they're metallics, and like the oil-based metallics will always blow away any water-based metallics.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Samuel Tack was wanting to know, what do you guys think of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition versus 1st edition?
Oh, you mean OSR versus AD&D?
Well, no, AD&D 1 versus AD&D 2.
Not too much of a difference, really.
You mean as far as I'm confused? Is it AD&D the one we play, or is it like the one in the little booklet ones?
That would be the the chainmail kind of style.
Yeah, we're playing 1st edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons as opposed to 1st edition Dungeons and Dragons. The Advanced was the first ones in the hardcover. So as far as, I prefer 1E, although I liked 2E quite a bit. I saw 2E as being basically 1st edition AD&D with a lot of people's house rules put in, as far as people being, elven rangers and wood elf rangers and stuff like that. But the more I look at both games now, they're actually vastly different. And I think 5th edition is probably the most like Advanced Dungeons and Dragons the game's been since 2nd edition, because I think 3 and 3.5 and 4 are two totally different games, and I don't think of them really as being Dungeons and Dragons at all. Or Advanced Dungeons
Fourth edition was an attempt to reinstill wargaming back into the game.
Yeah.
So much so that it all right. So I did play. It came out in 2007, 2008. I did play. Got some of the books. You could have one encounter last 3 or 4 hours. Now there could definitely be role playing and everything else that comes along with D&D and whatever the DM wants to do, but it was very crunchy. It was very tabletop. It was very mini intensive. That's where the dungeon tiles have come from, and that's where a lot of the 3D dungeon producing tile companies like Dwarven Forge, they have their I think they have their origins in that kind of thing, where they did the Kickstarters. What's his face? I did an interview with him back with what I did was working
Dwarven
with
Forge got some good
tabletop.
shit too. Yeah,
Dwarven Forge is amazing. I have a lot of their sewer set.
You can get, man, that can be an investment after a while.
Yeah, tell me about it. I have some of their light up pieces as well, which is kind of cool.
That's where a nice thing for 3D printing is
Look,
doing.
I finally found this
and stuff.
So you guys can see this. This is one of my award winners. Let's see if I can get that up.
Get that in there closer. I can't see.
Yeah, I'm doing. There you go.
That's cool.
It's a Forge World Zinch Dreadnought, but this is my first attempt successfully at doing non-metallic metallics on a model. It's like I love the look.
That's really cool.
It is labor intensive. And I would only.
How long did it take you to do?
See if you can see that. See, I work on again, off again, so I'm gonna say probably about 60 hours in this.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
it's like not hours, it's days.
So yeah, because I don't work all at once, but I don't know if you can really see because of the camera there. There we But the metallics are all done. There's no metals in that at all. And I just wanted, like, it used to be like a really popular style. It still kind of is, I guess. But I wanted to see if I could do it. It was just an experiment. And I pulled it off. I thought it came out pretty good. So I actually like metals better than like non-metallic because it kind of looks a little too anime-ish for me. But but I can do it. But I wanted to show that because when I was packing up this old studio to come into the new studio, I'm like finding all these old models, and I'm like, fuck, I should have put that on the with Guys on Masculine Geek. But okay, so my opinion on D&D is if it doesn't come out of this book, it's not D&D. Simple as that.
Yep.
That's AD&D. I guess that's second edition though, isn't it?
No,
that's first edition.
Oh, it's first edition.
That's first edition.
Because I think of first edition as like the pamphlet books from like the mid 70s.
Well,
no,
but that's kind of a different
that now
game.
costs like $500. You know.
Yeah, that's a completely different game, and that's
just
chainmail
Dungeons
era.
and Dragons.
So what we're doing is kind of AD&D is technically considered first edition. Correct?
Yes,
correct.
That is
okay.
correct.
Then first edition is what I would say is probably the first and the best, simply because I'll tell you why I like it the best, and even still to this day, and it's still because it still holds up. We still play it. Is it's more of like an open sandbox, right?
Pretty much.
You can do much more with it. Like you can choose to in our campaign, I run a modified version of Greyhawk, which is Gary Gygax's old game world, but I put my spin on it. Like I don't play it exactly as he does. I play it like a post-apocalyptic version of if that is even applicable to Greyhawk, but it's still the Greyhawk map, which I've got actually around here somewhere. And I think I might even frame that at some point. So we can still play like the Slave Lords dungeons, or we can play like Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, which I really want to do with you guys once you get up to high enough level.
As soon as we're done this one, we gotta level
and
up.
Then I want I mean we should still keep doing Slave Lords because we're just about done with the second one. But if you guys want to keep doing that, I have pretty much every module ever made for that version of D&D. And I know that freaking Jeffro is going to say, "Oh man, that's not real D&D if you're playing modules." I'm like, yeah, but you know what? If that's the litmus test, then I'll take that on the nose because it's better than like fifth. It's better than sixth. It's better than fourth. It's better than the only other version of like I guess D&D, if you want to even call it that I liked. I liked 3.5. Like 3.5 was okay. It got a little too complex because Warhammer does the same thing. They will do version after version after version, and until the point where they kind of like it's like version creep, right? So like for instance, first edition of Warhammer 40K was the Rogue Trader era, and that's like late 80s, early 90s. Well, yeah, late 80s, early 90s. And that was there's only one rule book, and it was probably I think one of the best versions of the game because it was an open sandbox. There was no like here it's a hard fast rules. Here's the Horus Heresy. Here's this. Here's that. It was go make your own models. Make a freaking land speeder out of a deodorant bottle. The deodorant cartridge or something like that. And so it was basically on the gamers to get as creative as they possibly could. Now it's like terrain and every model is like just absolutely, you build it like this. Oh, there's different variations, but it seems to me like it's much more closed. And I think that like D&D is really pretty much has suffered from the same kind of like edition creep, I guess.
Correct. Yeah.
So you've got first edition is great. Second edition, fucking awesome. Third edition of 40K was great, but that's when the Magic the Gathering years started. And they wanted a game that you could play tournament style back then. So first edition, second edition were really about just fun, open gaming, like a narrative gaming. You're telling a story and you're fucking around and you're drinking beer with your friends. And it's not, there's no trophies. There's no Rogue Trader, I mean, there's painting contests, of course, but Other than the Golden Demons, there's really nothing else that was going on. And then third edition came, and they simplified it. They really like stripped it down so that, you know, like the average 12-year-old kid could learn it, which was good from a business standpoint. But like everybody who'd been playing for the last, 10, 15 years, they're kind of like, oh, this is great, but all my armies are now nerfed, so the kids can play. And then fourth edition came out, got a little more complex, got a little more detail added to it. Fifth edition, still more, and they piled more and more and more on there. And then you've got like, hand-to-hand comp. You got like the parry rule came in, the Overwatch rules came in. Like they would take rules from like Space Hulk and add them because they were good, and they were fun to add to it. And then they got all the way up past 7th, and then they got to 8th edition, and they stripped everything back down again. So it was, and I won't say dumb it back down. It wasn't. It's just they simplified it. And then so from 8th to 9th, which is where we're at right now, they've really overly complexified the game, And then I think 10th edition is supposed to come out this summer. And I got a feeling they're probably going to simplify it. They're going to dumb it down so like the kids can start playing it again, because 2020 really put the stress on that company for a while. They're back on top, of course, but then I kind of look at that and then I see that that's really common amongst all game systems. Like D&D, for example, is very much it's subject to edition creep, I guess. So what did they do in 5th? Like 4th was a disaster for them. In fact, when Pathfinder came out, they just ate Wizards of the Coast lunch with that, because it was the guys who were actually the game designers from D&D who from 3 and 3.5, which were good versions, and they took the best of that and put it into Pathfinder. And that's when I actually switched over. I didn't play D&D for forever. I've got more Pathfinder books over here than I do 4th edition, 5th edition D&D books. And then, they wanted to strip it down. And I think Wizards of the Coast don't know what to do with D&D, because they try to be like, woke, and they try to be like multi-culty, and they try to be like, and it's like, that's not what D&D is, man. It's just like, let people play the fucking game, like give them a framework and let people have their open sandbox, and don't try to make characters have to be in a fucking wheelchair. And, you don't have to, you don't, which I think is ridiculous too, because like, well, if you're in a wheelchair, couldn't I just like cast mass heal on you? Or like, why don't I just like, morph you and resurrect you in the body of a centaur or something like that? It's like, it's so ridiculous. And so not only have they over complexified or complicated, I guess, the editions, they've also added all this wokesy shit to it as well. But that sort of came with the territory with the end of the millennials and the beginning of Gen Z. So, but as far as the question is concerned, first edition, I'm a purist. I'm a Gygaxian purist. I'm just 1 degree of separation from like Jeffro. I think you can use modules. I'm okay with that. And miniatures too, by the way, Jeffro, if you ever watch it. But Jeffro plays a good game, man. Like we had a really fun time when we did that one-off game.
Yeah, we did. That was a good time.
I want to do that again. I keep thinking about doing it. We got to do at least one of those a year.
Well, the thing is, supposedly he was going to use those characters as NPCs within his game setting.
Yeah. And
I've never heard what happened to them. If any of them have done anything, if any of them are like, sworn swords of one of the lords there or what. But so I'm kind of curious.
Well, let me just, I can neither confirm nor deny this rumor, but one of my character from that campaign might make a cameo appearance in the Slave Lords.
Okay.
So Jameis might show up at some point, because it's a damn shame not to use it. Yep, it's a damn shame not to use that character. And I still have the character sheet over here too.
Oh yeah, cool. We've also got our characters from Jethro's game, so yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. Maybe. What level character were you playing? Because mine was a 5th level fighter magic user, so it was like 5 and 5. What were you guys playing?
Mine was a fighter, so
I was a half orc assassin, I think.
Yeah.
because that might be fun to like just for a one-off game, like use those characters and then play like Ghost Tower and Burnus, right? Because that's a one-off module.
Or Danger
like,
Dome Water or something.
Yeah, or what else is it? Oh, White Plume Mountain. That's a one-off. There's a few like a really great one-off. Those are the like White Plume Mountain.
Demon Web Pits.
Yeah, you could do that, but that's really high level. You got to be 10th to 12th for that. You will die.
Well, you might as well just run us through the fucking. You might as well just run us through fucking Tomb of Horrors.
Well, you got to be like 14th level to play that.
Okay. Okay, we do Tomb of Horrors. What's going to happen is if we can get like Amos and TJ, once they get killed at the mouth creature opening at the beginning of it, I'm going to plunder all their stuff and then leave.
Yeah, spoiler alert! There's a spoiler alert. There's a spear of annihilation.
Yeah.
So I mean,
son of a bitch, this fucking thing exploded.
I'm trying to think what else I have here. Do you? Of course you have this. You have to have this. Do you have City State of the Invincible Overlord?
Yes, I believe so.
Do you have the original or do you have the box, the second edition box set? Probably both.
I am honestly not sure. I know
I have the box. I don't have the original Judges Guild one.
Okay.
All right, this guy's come along pretty good.
Let's see if I can find.
You do the eyes on the Zorn. Kind of gave a blue cast to his teeth.
Oh man, I'll tell you what we ought to do. At some point, I mean, if you guys want to roll new characters for it, that'd be fine, or you want to just use the same ones. But like, I have always run Dwellers of the Forbidden City, which is a really good. It's a really good one-off. But the way I run it is I run it on Isle of Dread. So you have to get to the Isle of Dread to go to the Dwellers of the Forbidden City.
Do you run in tournaments though?
Not Isle of Dread, no, but Dwellers, yes, absolutely.
Or that and Hidden Shrine of Tomoe-chan.
There we go. Wait a minute. Look at that. That's one of the originals right there. The color cover. I mean, there's the black and white color as well.
Yeah. I
have all of these.
The Secret of Bone Hill is a good one.
Bone Hill. That's like 2 to 4 though. That's a lower level dungeon.
Yeah, that's just for starting out. Stop it, Mowgli.
Do I have?
Nick August wants you to paint tiger stripes on your cat. He originally said on your car, Vince, but he corrected it. So
he wants me to paint what?
Nick August, who I'm surprised is even has offered. I'll give Vince $50 to paint tiger stripes on his car. But what he meant to say was tiger stripes on his cat. So Nick August will give you $50, Vince, to paint tiger stripes on your cat.
Oh, is he paint? What are you painting right now?
His Zorn?
No, I'm not doing that.
Oh, you switched? Okay.
What about the owl bear? You know the history. You know the history of the owl bear and the rust monster, right?
Yes.
Well, those toys came from the
the old Chinese toys from the 70s.
I actually have. Here's the rust monster.
Yep.
They still make those toys. There's also an owl bear that's part of that pack. They use those because they wanted the original.
This is from the original. This is from the original pack.
Oh, it is. Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
That's the original guy. Yeah.
Man, these metallics work great. Now I know I picked these up. Like they almost work too good.
Yeah.
I'm ready to do the wash on him now.
Yeah. I am guessing all those characters were 6th level.
For us, yeah. Because he gave us, I believe he gave us, was it 60,000 experience points to do with as we wanted to? So however you wanted to sort of allot that. Yeah. I believe it was 60. I want to say
yes.
60. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, he's throwing monsters at us like fucking beholders, and with that, like completely outclass all of us.
Oh yeah, and we got so lucky.
That was pretty funny. We got spanked.
Yeah, we did.
Well, and the thing is, all three of us had epic kills. You had an epic kill on the beholder. Vince took out the dragon, and I took out an Umber Hulk.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like
all in the first hour of the game.
Yes.
On the very right. It was like super fast.
Yeah. 60,000 experience points. Because I'm looking at my fighter. So I had a human fighter, a level Myrmidon. So 6 level.
Mine was 6 or 7.
He that style of rolling up stats that he gave us worked really, really nicely. Because my fighter ended up having 18 strength, 16 intelligence, 13 wisdom, 15 dex, 16 constitution, and a 14 charisma. So that gives me like 6 henchmen right there with a loyalty base of +5.
Yeah, that's the one thing we didn't do. We didn't bring henchmen in. We could have actually. Or did he say we couldn't?
I think he said we couldn't because I was trying to get us to have a cleric, which would have totally screwed up his ending if we'd had a cleric.
That's why he didn't want us to get anybody.
Yes, exactly. So that was his way to control the situation.
That bastard.
Sneaky bastard.
That fucking cock.
You fucking fuck.
Fucking fuck.
That was funny, but the beholder right there in the middle, in the beginning, I'm like, because I'm like, wait, I'm thinking, okay, finally, I've always wanted to play with Jeffro because I've heard he's such a great DM, and he probably is.
Like, beholder.
But I was like, what?
Right?
Like
what
right out the
did
gate.
That come from?
I don't. What is this, like Stranger Thing? Look, the Demogorgon shows up. What?
We just started, you fucker.
Hold on, can we get a little foreplay here? Can we find a few goblins before?
Well, right? and we end up dealing with a sphere of annihilation and Vecna's hand and eye.
Which I walked away with.
I enjoyed wearing
never let the record show. I walked out of that dungeon with
you do have the eye of Vecna.
Yeah.
Who got the hand? Somebody put the hand actually on
Vince.
I did.
Oh, I thought it was TJ.
No, it was me. TJ did not.
What's funny is like because we're such old school gamers, we instantly know the hand in the eye of Vecna. Immediately, we're like,
oh, that's why I chopped my hand. That's why I chopped my hand off.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because
you immediately know what it is.
Yep. That's one of the things I think that's paid off for Vince and I. Obviously, you weren't playing the night your character got killed, so that's kind of crappy that it happened that way. But I mean, it just kind of did.
That's okay.
But Vince and I think have purposely, at least in Drew's Viking game, have purposely been trying to play smart. Playing our characters' alignment, playing what they are as far as being a magic user and a cleric of Thor. But also trying to play smart and realizing that there's just some things we can't do and other things it's like, well, we've got to try because we don't have any other choice. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think Amos and TJ and stuff just let's screw it. This will make for fun entertainment for whoever's watching this, and they just throw all caution to the wind and
they wind up dying.
And then they end up dead. Or almost dead because Amos almost died
TJ,
half a dozen times.
So I understand TJ is not very experienced at role playing games. Period. Right. But so it's always funny to it's entertaining. He's the entertainment value with having TJ right there is well worth having him in play. Yes. Perception check, dude. You don't need to do. But still,
knock it off.
All right, you can do whatever you want to. Do what you want to.
Do it.
You perceive you are standing in an empty room.
Yeah, like I told you 2 minutes ago. I'm going to do a perception check. Okay, ask me what's going on. That was funny as hell, though. But that TJ is an endless. And I'll tell you what's funny is like TJ he's got a halfway decent character in my campaign as a ranger because rangers were like hugely almost overpowered in first edition. But because there's so much he could be doing that he just has no clue like what a ranger does. Like he could be tracking things. He gets an automatic bonus on like, well, by the way, it's on damage. It's not 2 hit, but he gets an automatic damage bonus on giant class creatures. And how goblins, hobgoblins, and kobolds are giant class creatures, I would like to ask Gary Gygax when I die and go to heaven.
Right.
So like,
they're
how did you come up with that?
They're goblin kin.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's the deal. But man, I was just like, how is like ogres, ettins, giants, trolls? Got it. Yeah, of course. But like orcs, gnolls, those are giants. Those are not giants, but they're giant class critters.
Giant classes, yeah.
Whatever that means, but. I don't pretend to know the mind of Gary Gygax in that term. And then I tell you what I love though, also is the most delicious part about being like sort of like an old school gamer is like you get to see all these people who really love the game, but they've never played like the real old school D&D, right? Yeah. And so when someone like Jeffro comes along, just pisses in their Cheerios. Oh, you're not playing right. That's not how it's done. What? You know. It's my game. I'll play it the way I want.
It's whatever you want it to be.
And then Jeff was like, "No, that's therapy. That's your catharsis. This is not the game." It's like you need to
call theater and therapy.
Yes, theater and therapy.
Theater and therapy. TNT. You're playing TNT, not D&D.
If you need to write this like multi-page backstory for your character that's going to die as a first level, most likely it's going to die as a first level character.
Your character backstory should be no longer than 2 sentences.
Yeah.
If that.
Well, I mean, it was a running joke for the longest time. The quickest way to get your horse killed is give it a name. As soon as you write the name on your character sheet of your horse,
pet, really, I'm surprised Benjamin isn't dead.
And you're only because you guys have kept him in the backpack the whole time.
I'm trying not to throw him out to anybody.
I was trying to play Benjamin as an NPC when you guys were in that encounter with the Weirboars. And then again in the torture chamber because he got out of the bag and went off. And then I'm like, okay, well, he's out of the bag now. So either I can kill this thing or he's going to do okay. And I actually played it. Well, I mean, he did actually survive. I play those characters like they're like real characters.
Yeah, so I like it.
If he dies, he dies, But
and he actually helped in the Werewolf fight.
He did. I think he harmed something very well.
Yeah. And I'm actually I'm not like fudging the rolls for him because it's like it's easier for me to kill him than it is to like keep him around. But he did okay.
You fucker.
Yeah. Well, and then Lupo before he became a PC, like when he was an NPC. Lupo was originally just started as sort of a fun character, but like he needed some backstory. But he's basically the link boy. He's there to make sure that, because I know that one thing that most adventurers or players forget about is light in a dungeon. Yeah. And so like I use my infravision. No, you don't. You're human. Oh, okay. Well, then I'll just up and light a torch. If you play strict, like religiously Gary Gygaxian versions of like D&D, and you stick to 1-to-1 time, like Jeffro always says you're supposed to, lighting a torch will probably take you 10 minutes to actually of game time to actually do that. So you're trying to light a torch. Oh, look, all these goblins come and they attack you while you're trying to light this torch. And so that's honestly, I think that's one of the reasons why Gary Gygax put the mechanic of infravision into the game, because light in like dungeons, which is where it was supposed to happen, that's why I call it Dungeons and Dragons. It was supposed to be an underground setting most of the time. That if you're a human, you're fucked because you're trying to carry a torch or a lantern in one hand, and you got a sword in the other, and then you get into combat, you drop the torch, and you're screwed. Right? That's why that's why I think he put an infravision in as a mechanic into that. But like light is one of the things that people don't really love. Do you have I was going to ask you, since we were talking about books, do you have the Dungeoneer Survival Guide?
Yes.
Which is technically like 2.5, I guess. It's still first edition, but it's really 2.5.
Yeah, it's
1.5.
Yeah, it's like the Unarthur Arcana kind of thing came around the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got Dungeoneers,
I got
Wilderness
that.
Survival
I
Guide.
don't have Wilderness yet. I got to get Wilderness, but
Get the
I have
Wilderness.
Dungeoneers. I have the Dungeoneers, and I forgot, like, oxygen is a thing to think about when you're underground.
Yes.
Or if there's a fire underground, you're pretty much dead. Because it'll suck out all the oxygen out of the place. Or if there's a gas of some sort, like poisonous gas, you're pretty much dead. And then like climbing walls, climb the walls. I just roll my percentage and I'm good. Yeah, well, those walls are covered with algae because you're underground. So the Dungeoneer Survival Guide, I think it's more for like DMs than it really is for players, because it reminds DMs of like what could really happen underground.
Right.
And maybe that's a degree of realism that like it just sort of overcomplicates the game.
All right, I'm done this Zorn, this second Zorn.
Cool.
What time is it? Okay, it's almost 7:30. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
Katie,
another half
I
hour
meant
or
to ask you. So just to continue that conversation we had about Nerdrotic and all
Oh,
that.
yeah,
Is that guy? Is the dude like super liberal or something? I don't know enough about the guy to really.
I'm
getting myself.
I've never
into
heard of them
Friday
until
night
now.
Gary Beekler is a former convicted felon. He is a recovering drug addict, if not alcoholic. I'm not speaking out of turn, hopefully, and I'm not saying anything that he hasn't said on his show. So this isn't like I've doxed him and deep dived on his.
Well,
history.
I mean, dude, I hang out
about.
with porn stars.
Right.
So it's like I'm not going to judge.
Yeah. So he, grew up in California, I believe in San Diego, lived in San Francisco, owned a comic book store in San Francisco. I'm assuming he was a fairly liberal guy in his punk rock youth, but politics and current events and stuff have made him more, if not conservative, more libertarian leaning. And honestly, I think politics is probably the least important thing to him, other than how it is, how pop culture is used as basically propaganda for one side of the political spectrum. So I don't think you're walking in on any kind of an ambush situation in there.
Oh, no, I didn't think so. I was just wondering like what the guy was about, because
mainly just talking about pop culture, how much he loves Lord of the Rings and comic books.
Can't fault him that.
And Game of Thrones and stuff like that, and how badly mishandled a lot of this pop culture stuff has been, how much it's been vandalized. I don't know the details, but it seems like he and Doomcock had a falling out. Supposedly it was all taken care of, and it was over something Ryan had said disparagingly about Doomcock. What actually happened, I don't know, and I don't really care. He's
a personality. Does Doomcock have his own YouTube channel, or is he just big on Twitter? Because I know him from Twitter. That's why.
Yeah, he has his own YouTube channel and his show. He and Gary used to do a show on Sunday nights dealing with like cryptids and UFOs and stuff like that. But when they had the falling out, that all came to an end. But Gary seems like a decent guy. I enjoyed watching his stuff early on. Like I said, since the falling out, I haven't. Not because I'm Team Gary or Team Doomcock. It's just I have things to do. I have kids to raise, grandkids, women, work, play. I have stuff going on. So, but one of the biggest reasons why I wanted you to be on his show is sometimes certain things would get said by guests. Like Tom from Midnight's Edge was talking one night about the fact that, if it wasn't for women, men would be sitting in an empty apartment playing video games in their underwear with empty pizza boxes everywhere and so on and so forth. That old myth.
And
yeah,
right.
And you know, so just things like that, and it's like
they'd be really hella cool.
Yeah. So it's just, you know, I'm like, they come really close to certain epiphanies and points that you make within the context of intersexual dynamics and stuff on a more macro scale. They're on a micro scale within fandom and geekdom and stuff like that, and they would come so close to making certain points or having certain epiphanies, but they wouldn't take that one extra step or connect the dots. That I'm like, if Rollo was on a show one Friday evening, he would be able to say, this is why, this is how, this is the data that points to what you're seeing, and here are the next couple of dots. So that's why I'd always thought you know, that it would be really cool for those two groups to kind of intersect. And because
you mentioned that, and I started following, I think, after you mentioned him, and that's how I knew about him. And then when Chrissy Mayer told me she was part of Friday Night Tights, I'm like, where have I heard that before? Right. And then I realized I wasn't. Can you tell me like more about like Friday Night Tights? Because I think that's what they're going to be doing mostly. Is that like a panel show that they have?
Yes, it's a panel show. So it would be like if we were doing our fireside chat on a Wednesday night, but with like several. If the Masculine Geek were a slightly larger group, and then whatever our special guest would be. So it's kind of like that, but it's. They will have certain current event topics that they're talking about with movies. So obviously, you know, like if you were on this Friday, I'm sure they would be talking about the new Blue Beetle trailer, the new.
What about the new D&D movie?
The new D&D movie, that kind of stuff. So
I guess now I'm gonna have to go watch that fucking movie.
Well,
was it good? Did you guys see it?
I haven't. I have no desire to see it.
I had some people say that it was actually like better than what they expected it was going to be.
I have heard a lot of people say that, but
maybe they just want it to be better than they expected.
Well, there is a time where the hapless, stupid dad, you know, the misguided father trope, whatever, would have been either mildly amusing or at least tolerable because it was funny or unique because it was against the norm, as opposed to now where it's kind of the universal truth that, you know, the male lead is kind of a hapless goofus.
It's no longer a plot device anymore.
Right. So I've heard it's not nearly as heavy-handed as certain things were made out to look and everything, but I'm just like, you know, Hasbro doesn't care about me. Hasbro doesn't seem to want my money and thinks I'm somehow a bad person, either because of the color of my skin or the fact that I like women instead of men, or that I know I'm a man instead of thinking I'm a woman or whatever. And it's like, I have drastically reduced a lot of the stuff I used to get because obviously, Hasbro produces a lot of toys. So I'm like, you know what? If I get this stuff as a gift, great. I'm not actively going out and giving them money, you know, for Transformers and stuff anymore. It just not worth my time, not worth my investment.
Excel, I can't give you any spoilers because haven't seen it, so I don't know. I couldn't spoil it if I wanted to.
Yeah, same here. I haven't seen it. I've just heard that it's better than expected. It's not nearly as heavy-handed as one would have thought it would be.
Is it supposed to be tongue-in-cheek? Because like I was seeing the trailers for it, and I was just kind of like, this looks kind of goofy. It almost looks like they're trying to like make it's supposed to be about D&D by D&D players, and suddenly they get thrown into some D&D world or something. I'm like, why can't they just do a freaking real D&D movie, like maybe even based on some of the modules or something like that? It always has to be like a cartoon or a live action cartoon almost, you know.
Well, supposedly it takes place in the Forgotten Realms, and it
What's this, the D&D game? D&D show?
D&D
movie.
D&D characters. The only
I'm gonna paint this were rat next.
there is a cameo by the characters from the D&D Saturday morning cartoon. You see them in the trailer and everything else, and apparently
is it the Dungeon Master?
Not the Dungeon Master, the actual party. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, that wasn't that great a cartoon, really.
No, it absolutely wasn't.
Can't we just, if you're gonna do that, can I have Thunder the Barbarian instead?
Thunder the Barbarian is fucking
that
awesome.
Would be badass. Trust me. Make a real version of that where it's like it's not like a cartoon. It's like people die and it's like Thundar and Ariel and Ookla, the Mock, and all that. Dude, that would, and it's sorcery and super science like it was. It was basically Gamma World is what it was. I'm like, it's just that's money on the table, guys. Like, why are you not like doing this?
Yeah.
And then the other thing that gets me is like, you probably have. Do you have the original series of the comic for like it was the Dark Horse comic of Aliens versus Predator?
Yes, I do.
The first one with the Asian girl who's the main character in it.
Yes.
Why are they not just making that as a movie? Because that would be like so fucking awesome. Instead, they're jerking off with like, hey, how do we make aliens and predators get together? I don't know. Let's just put some critters together and see what happens. Right? It's like, dude, there's such a great story that's just all you got to do is license it from Dark Horse. I'm sure they would love to have it made. Stupid. I don't know. That's all. Because I'm a huge Alien/Predators fan, and like I'm like, why would you not be doing this? Or have you played Alien Isolation? Yeah, the video game.
I'm familiar with it, but I've never played it.
Dude, that's fucking terrifying. By the way, don't be alone and play that because it's meant to scare you. But the premise of it is that the main character is Ellen Ripley's daughter. I can't remember her name in the series, but she's the main character in that video game. I'm like, why are you not just following up and doing that? Because the people who did the art direction and everything else for that game, it's basically Alien, only like better and more updated, but it still has the same feel because they, deliberately made it feel like the movie. And it's Ellen Ripley's daughter who, like, why wouldn't she go look for her mom and then encounter aliens, right?
Yeah.
Duh. But I don't know. Maybe I'm not woke enough to work in Hollywood, I guess.
Well, when the
that's why I do anthologies for the masculine.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I don't work in Hollywood.
Well, we're gonna move along. Don't worry.
Yeah, when the Alien comic first came out, I actually bought several issues of it. So I had like multiple issues of the Dark Horse, the first appearance of Aliens, which was in like one of their Dark Horse Presents.
It was number 0. Yeah, I remember that.
And then when they started the regular series for that, I bought multiples of that because that was back in the days when I was young, I was single, and so the idea
my money goes where I want it to.
Yeah, so buying multiple copies of stuff was like real easy to do. I still sometimes do that, but I end up doing it with like expensive import toys from Japan. It's like, I'll buy one to open.
I have to curb that, not because of like, and like my wife told me, I buy whatever the fuck I want. It's just I don't have any room for it anymore.
Yeah.
Your closet's getting full there, Rob.
I bought that Angron model. I'm like, I've been waiting for that model for forever, so I got it. It was well worth the money.
That makes sense.
And they've got new World Eater models that I've been waiting for forever, so I went and got it. But that's like the first model I probably bought in like 2 years. At least retail, anyways.
Right.
I'll buy old models I find online, but that's about it. But let me ask you this. So just back to the nerdrotic thing. What is Friday Night Tights about exactly? Is it just about pop culture, or is it about like social issues too?
No, it's predominantly pop culture, but they will touch on social issues as it relates to pop culture stuff. So and Gary. Jeremy, or I think Jeremy's his name, and Ryan tend to touch more on the politics stuff than Gary does. But like I said, I haven't really watched the show in a while, so I've only seen bits and pieces of it here and there. But when I was watching it more regularly, it's just the politics were how they tie into pop culture. as opposed to being the sole focus. So the focus was on the pop culture. So I could see them talking to you about, so, Hollywood's woke and men are a joke and why do they do this and whatever and so on. And
that'd be great.
I don't ever think they've heard the term, gynocentric social order or hypergamy or any of the stuff that, is practically, Rolo said hypergamy, take a drink, that kind of stuff that you deal with like on Sundays and everything. So, but no, I honestly think it would be good for you to be there, because it's one of those things that you can explain things better than I think most, within the fact that you are also a major uber geek nerd. I think that
don't tell me. Oh, Robert, we told you not to say anything.
You're blowing it for us, man.
Damn it. We're the Cheetos.
Yeah, we're the Cheetos.
But they're not on my laptop.
Yeah, but no. So I think it would be good for you to be there, because I think that's an area that.
All right. Well, then I'll insist.
Things will help.
I'll tell you what's funny is, like, I'm talking to what's her face, X-Ray Girl. Is X-Ray Girl a permanent spot on that? She's a producer, right?
Her bio says producer.
What's her role? What's her role, of Nerdrotic or of Friday Night Tights, or is that the same thing?
The Nerdrotic. It says she's a producer of. I don't know about the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because she's got my phone number. She's been hitting me up in text and stuff like that, because we're trying to coordinate for when they get to Las Vegas.
Right.
And she really wants to be on Access Vegas. I'm like, tell you what, I'll go on Friday Night Tights and you can come on Access Vegas. Because I think that'd be kind of fun to go on that show just to see how it works. I'm sure I will piss off the people who already know me, and they'd probably be like, what the fuck is this guy going on here?
Fuck him.
I don't care. I think it might be worth it just to go piss people off. Because when Robert asked me, like, what am I going to do when am I ready to retire? You'll know I'm ready to retire when all I do is piss people off. When that's my sole focus of everything.
So you're basically going to become Ryan.
Yeah, more or less. Brian's like, he's a 12th level paladin. I'm not quite there yet with sarcasm. He's a sarcasm user, and I'm only a fighter sarcasm user.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about spoilers, Excel self. I have not seen the D&D.
Spoilers of what, man?
You got spoilers of the D&D.
I probably won't see it in theaters, but I'll wait till it comes on Netflix, or it comes out, when I can see it.
I'll wait till someone forces me to watch it.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd rather watch Krull again.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen Krull?
Countless times.
Countless.
Especially growing up.
Krull is so good. I haven't watched it in a while. I actually got to put that back on. I think it might be time to break out Krull again.
Absolutely.
People are like, oh, what the fuck are these nerds talking about?
Hawk the Slayer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Slayers! One of my favorites was watching Excalibur in the scene at the beginning with Uther Pendragon in full plate having coitus with Arthur's mother.
That was the best.
And looking over at a girlfriend, and it's like, well, should I go don my plate?
Right.
It's like,
I
can do that.
I think that was one of the first R-rated movies I ever watched, and I think I only watched it because it happened to be on HBO. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. I didn't even know who King Arthur was back then.
Yeah, it's funny. Let's see. You had posted on the 30th. For the greater part of men's upbringing and socialization, they are taught that a conventional masculine identity is, in fact, a fundamentally male weakness, and only women have a unique cure for. And Chrissy had commented on, great thread, and I had said something to her to the effect that I was pleasantly surprised that she thought so. And of course she's like, why? And just trying to explain that, you're a bud and someone I game with and paint miniatures with and stuff like that. And you're uniquely
position
in the gay monastery, as Rob and
yes
call it.
Yes,
and
yes. The Mano Swamp apparently now too.
Yeah, and whereas Chrissy's in this whole entertainment section of like YouTube and stuff like that, and now connected with like the Geek and Gamers people and Gary Beekler Nerdrotic and all that kind of stuff. So it was nice seeing those two spheres overlapping, because they do pop culture and politics and everything are all interconnected, no matter how much certain people try to make it not be. Yeah. And so it was nice seeing the overlap, was what I was trying to express to her. Whereas I think she might have thought I was saying, I was pleasantly surprised that a woman saw a rational comment and agreed with it or something like that, which wasn't what I was trying to call her out on. I would just But
it's funny that's where her mind goes. That most women's mind will go. So a girl can't say that? No, that's not what I. No, wait.
Yeah, I literally said I was pleasantly surprised to see her say so.
It doesn't matter.
What does that mean? It means that I saw she had read something a friend of mine said and said something positive about it, and I'm like, oh, well, that's nice that she saw something my friend said, because I thought they were people that should talk to each other. Yeah. That's what I said.
I saw that. I saw her talking about how she was going to be in Vegas, because I shouldn't even say that. She hit me up because I talked to her. I think maybe it was probably because of what you had said, and then she started hitting me up in my DMs because I already followed her. I knew a lot of other people did too, and then I went to go and check out where she was going to be. And then I found out she was going to be in Vegas. And I'm like, fuck, I'm in Vegas. Let's go do it. Let's go check them out. And I had to because Mike Sartain didn't know who she was. And I was like, oh, because I thought for sure he would, because she's like runs in conservative circles too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She's been on Breitbart, I think, and some others.
Does she know Milo? Maybe she knows Milo. I don't know.
I don't know if she does, but she knows some other people within that area. So
yeah. So anyways, but like she's actually, okay, no women are funny, but she's might be the 10% that are. And so
she's written humorous stuff on Twitter. I can't say anything about Comic Act, but she has posted things that were
I checked out her
on Twitter.
I checked out her. Now, would I go out of my way to go see a show if I didn't know her? I don't know, but I thought I would go see her now. But she was funny. And then so we started talking, and we started DMing, and then I said, hey, would you like to come on the show with me and Mike Sartain? And then she's like, oh, I'm going to be there on Nerdrotic. And that's when I discovered she was part of like the Friday Night Tights crew.
Gotcha.
And I was like, oh, great. And then by the way, I haven't said this yet. I've come to find out that they book Sticky Paws, which is our studio in Vegas, for the entire, pretty much from noon till like 6 on Friday the 28th. I'm like, fuck, man, they booked out that whole show. And I'm like, yeah, they probably did, because what's his face probably got a good chunk of. That's a lot of money for 6 hours at Sticky Paws. You're looking at close to like $6,000.
Yeah, they make some good money on Friday nights, and I know that. I think that their thing in Vegas is their like kind of annual kind of convention, Nerdrotic Friday Night Tight gathering kind of thing.
I wonder if they're gonna have other people on the show besides the regular crew. Because like I talked to X-Ray Girl, and I was like, I would love to be on that show if I could get on. Until she says she's gonna try to work it out, but but I'm definitely gonna have her on. If nothing else, she's gonna come on Access Vegas now for sure.
Right. But
cool, good. I'm glad, because I like to get into get my fingers in like different spheres, Yes, and yes, Kroll was very awesome. Kroll was, I think, one of the greatest movie making works of. It was a masterpiece, quite honestly.
The original D&D movie.
Yeah. Oh no. Okay, so I gotta go eat here in a minute, but I do have to point out that while Kroll is a movie masterpiece, there are a few others that were around at that time. Okay, so of course Kroll is first and foremost Kroll. Okay, but then there's the Sword and the Sorcerer. Where it would shoot the blade, the sword that the guy had. It was like a tri-blade, it was a triple bladed sword, and it would shoot off two of the blades. Like I don't know how. Who came up with that? That's pure 80s like lunacy, but it's just like in the time, just brilliant. And that movie, as a kid, that movie scared the living bejesus out of me too, because the faces that are in the side of that tomb in that one scene, I was like,
oh yeah.
You know, to my like 10-year-old, 12-year-old mind, I'm like, oh my god. And then, but it was a truly awesome show. And then, what was
Starring
it? Was it
Lee Horsley?
Yes. And Beastmaster, the original, the first Beastmaster. Oh yeah, and that thing that was like a cloaker, and it would wrap people up, and then all the bones would just drop out the bottom of it. I'm like, oh fuck. Yeah, that was true brilliance. At least not. It was a little more poppy, but like kind of like Lady Hawk. It's somewhere between Conan and Lady Hawk, which was kind of like, meh, it's all right. I was never a big fan of Highlander, but I mean when Sean Connery was in it, okay, but those were really good ones. I'm trying to think of the other one. Oh, the first TV, the first sci-fi, I should say, that really fucked me up was not Alien, although it was kind of. I mean, Alien really sort of did the number on me still to this day. But did you ever watch Space 1999?
Yeah, yes. Love that. Oh shit!
As a kid, I was I couldn't have been more than 7 years old.
Underneath.
Oh yeah,
the episode. It's in the last season. There's only 4 seasons of. I'm surprised I got the 4th season, but it was 4 seasons of Space 1999. It was a 4th season, and it was called Here Be Dragons.
Yes,
and because I went and looked it up because I had to face my fears. But as a kid, I was like, oh my god. It was like that big one-eyed monster with the tentacles.
Monster drag you underneath with the tentacles. Yeah.
Yep.
That as my like 8-year-old brain could not process that. I was absolutely terrified, and that was commercial television back then. And I was like, "Oh Lord!" And that was
the same guy who did Thunderbirds.
Yes.
Oh.
And you know, it's funny is like if you just like right now as an adult, you look at it and you kind of go, you know. Why did I think this was so crazy? But then if you look at it and you think, okay, remember it's 1975 or 1977, whenever it came out. And it's before Star Wars. It's before Star Trek. It's before Aliens or Alien for that matter. It's before any of that. I think 2001: A Space Odyssey came out before. That was it. And that's and they did it in such I mean, it was classic movie making, classic like horror is what it was. And I'm like, this is amazing. I mean, when you go back and you look at like how they shot it and the lighting and everything else,
there was no
it was not an episode of Star Trek, man. It was not campy at all. It was serious as fuck, and you were gonna die.
Very dark.
And you know what they did? They put that monster on the toy or the lunch boxes of that time. Like you were a kid and you were going to like grade school. They had Space 1999 on the back of the lunchbox was that fucking critter. And I'm like,
it's coming to get me, Mom.
Would it surprise you to find out that I had a Space 1999 costume in my youth?
Oh, did you? Who did you play? Who were you? You were the captain. Or were you one of the aliens?
I had a pilot's uniform and eventually a command uniform. And my buddy and we also had the Space 1999 technical manual that you ordered from Starlog. And since the series only went those 2 seasons, we actually wrote episodes for the 3rd and 4th season with our own characters, of course, becoming parts of the crew and stuff. So
that's nice.
I actually
you could never
Tony Verdecci from the 2nd season.
You could never get away with that show today because it's the premise is stupid, right? I mean, the moon like leaves the Earth's orbit, right?
Right.
But I think like just the cinematography and the storytelling of it, like now it would be stupid, but like back then it was totally believable the way they did it. Yeah,
they did it with a very aesthetic to 2001. I mean, obviously not with that budget, and Kubrick's a genius and an amazing artist, but I mean, it was very much more connected with that and the movie Silent Running with Bruce Dern.
Oh yeah,
you remember that?
I do. I do. Yeah, Silent Running. Do you remember Saturn V with Farrah Fawcett and was it Michael Douglas who was in it?
Michael Douglas, who took the part and insisted upon having a sex scene with Farrah Fawcett.
Hell
why
yeah,
not?
I would too.
Work that into the fucking contract.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And that was a crazy one. Do you remember? There's a movie.
and Harvey Keitel. Harvey Keitel was the bad guy.
Yes. There was a movie. Okay, and I'm not like a big horror fan, but there were certain movies at the time that I can get behind that I thought were really great. Like The Boogans. The Boogans was like 1981, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That scared the living shit out of me. And that was at HBO. It's like one of those campy, like, B-rate. But at the time, there's no A movies, B movies, whatever. There's just, are you scared or are you not scared?
Right.
And then there was, I still have the DVD of this. It's Without Warning. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
It was the alien that would throw those like little discs, and they had like little teeth in the discs. And it was like a little mini frisbee or a little mini pizza.
What the fuck?
He would throw them. And the alien was pretty scary to begin with. It was like a kind of like a big-headed, kind of classic movies alien. But you didn't see him till the end of the thing. But those little hoochies, and they would slap you in the face, and they would like eat you and tear up your neck and tear up your face and stuff. That scared the living Jesus.
It was like a living Chinese star, and those tendrils would come out.
Yeah.
And
today, like, you look at it today and you laugh your ass off, right? Like, why was I so scared at this? But at the time, it was like this flying mini pizza with teeth and claws on it.
I tell you what, I like the first two Critter movies. Those I thought were pretty decent.
Yeah.
With the Krites and the bounty hunters. I just like the fact that the bounty
They made a
hunters,
big deal out of like that. That went from being like sort of a campy movie to like a series of movies, didn't it?
Yeah, but everything from like 3 on is like a joke and don't hold up to the first two, which were a lot better.
Yeah. So that was The Boogans was a crazy one. Well, the movie The Thing with Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That movie.
That was very H.P. Lovecraftish.
That made Kurt Russell, and I didn't realize until later that was a remake of a 60s or a 50s movie too, right? And the premise of it is fantastic. Right?
Well,
it's a great idea.
The original movies was directed by Howard Hawks, and James Arness played the creature in it, and it's based on a short story, Who Goes There, and which is a really good short story, and the John Carpenter version is actually much closer to the short story as far as that same kind of dread and claustrophobia and not knowing what the alien is or who it is. It's actually a lot closer, but it came out the same year as E.T. and everybody wanted friendly aliens or some
fuzzy friendly aliens.
But I mean,
because you know why? And you know why?
Good.
And you know why? Because aliens scared the living fuck out of everybody. That's why.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Right.
And E.T. was a sequel to Close Encounters.
Was it? Do you think Close? Now, okay, that's another thing. Close
Encounters happened first.
That was a great movie.
I enjoyed seeing that in the movie theater with my parents. Yeah, that was.
It scared me just enough. It scared me just enough as a kid, but it also kind of you had wonderment about it too.
Oh, it was fantastic finding the ships and the planes and shit.
You're like, what is going on? And you're scared for a little when the little kid gets pulled through the dog door. Yeah. Oh my God! Like that's like, especially when I was I wasn't as young as that kid, but like you can still you can relate with the kid getting pulled under the thing. Like again, that relates back to that monster in space, 1999. Yeah.
So Close Encounters happens first, and E.T. falls. So when the aliens land,
are they really supposed to be linked?
Yes.
They need to,
he didn't claim that officially, but in interviews and such, he talks about that. Like that wasn't they weren't doing Richard Dreyfuss like that. Did
Richard Dreyfuss die? Is he dead?
No, he's still alive.
He's still alive.
See, so he could reprieve that role. He could be like if they did a sequel, like they brought the aliens back and they did a Close Encounters like 2 or something like that. He could actually pull that off.
But they'd have to deep fake it because they didn't age because of the.
Well, is that true? Because that was only true in Cocoon. We don't know. Oh, they didn't age.
Yeah, because remember the pilots from World War II.
Yeah, they
were all the same age. So everybody that had been abducted came back basically the same age.
They would have to retcon it. Or
the idea is at the end, if you watch the extended version, which they made everyone sit through the movie again for like 7 extra minutes at the end.
When they show the inside of the ship.
Yeah, that he actually so the last alien to come out and do the hand gestures is supposed to be Richard Dreyfuss's character, was
really
transformed into the alien. Yes,
really?
that's why he's got the blue
way.
eyes. Yeah, that's why he's got the blue eyes like Dreyfuss. Yep.
No way. Really?
Yeah,
oh
that's
my
him.
God.
Yep.
I'm just now putting that together.
Yep, that's him.
I just saw that movie a week or two ago around the time of the Academy Awards because TCM was having their, 40 years of Oscars or whatever, 80 years of Oscars. And they had a science fiction evening one Friday night. So they showed that in like 2001 and stuff like that. And I watched it, and that Close Encounters still holds up.
Totally holds up. It's amazing.
Yep. I think so too.
Spielberg said that if he'd done it now, Richard Dreyfuss's character would not have gone in with the aliens because he's like as a dad, he couldn't think to leave his family like that, even though the wife absconded with the kids and took them away from him and stuff. And
he didn't give a shit about his kids,
and he couldn't.
Yeah, but that's what made the movie great, though, is because you could get away with that back in the 70s because he was so because it was about the storytelling. He was so obsessed with the aliens that he didn't care about anything else in his life.
Yeah, it was completely overridden.
Yeah, and well, it's the same reason that the FBI agents in ET ended up losing their firearms and ended up with walkie-talkies when he re-edited it with CGI.
Oh. Yeah, he wanted to be kinder, gentler.
Oh yeah. So.
Ah man.
So.
A-holes.
What are you gonna do? So Close Encounters was pretty scary, but then like everybody always wants to say, Friday the 13th and Michael Myers and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I tell you what was funny is, did you ever see the movie The Conjuring?
Yeah.
Yes.
More recent, the recent one.
Yeah. With what's his face from Watchmen.
Yeah, my daughter watched that, and she was like, "Man, this is the scariest movie I've ever seen." And then I watched it with her, and I go, "Yeah, it's pretty good." And she goes, "You know why this is scary?" And I'm like, "Why?" She says, "Because it happened in the 70s." Like that was the time period for it. And no, it's true because like you think about it, like today, if something scary happens, we have our cell phones immediately out, right? If something like crazy happens, like we've lost all sense of like frontier and wonderment. And I mean, like fear being one of those factors of wonderment. Like you want to know why like Stranger Things, at least the beginning, like the first season of it was so scary and so riveting, is because it took place in 1983.
Yeah, there's
no cell phones. There's your phone is attached to the wall with a cord. And
there's answering machines, if that.
Yep.
Well, yeah,
That's
the
crazy.
idea of carrying an emergency dime or an emergency quarter for phone calls.
Yep.
Some of us are old enough to remember when phone calls were only a dime, but
yes, indeed.
That was crazy. But anyways, all right, guys, I'm gonna go eat.
Go eat, and we'll see you tomorrow for your game.
I'm about to lose. Yeah, you'll see me for my game tomorrow. I'm about to lose my battery. That's why on the camera anyway. So.
Okay.
But anyways,
cool. This has been fun.
I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Good.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for all. As always, a pleasure. Well, what time is it? 11:06.
It is after 11, so it's a good time to call it if you want to call it. I'm in my brush right now anyway, so.
Yeah, that's what I did. My Kraken Blue exploded.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You unleashed the Kraken.
Wow. Fucking Kraken! I unleashed the Kraken. Oh fuck, that was fun. I always like these painting sessions.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, cool. So yeah, tomorrow we've got Raul's game. I'm gonna continue on with that. Hopefully Benjamin doesn't die. If he does, I'm sure I'll find another animal companion. And then yes, the Masculine Geek Pulp Anthology should be out end of April, sometime in May. Looking forward to that. Raul's finishing up his edits. We have the book cover done, but our book cover contract did not include the actual lettering of the title lettering, so Raul's going to do that for us. And then those are short novellas and stories from Rollo, myself, Noble, and TJ. And like I said, that'll be out sometime in April, May. And what else we got going on? Oh, next, obviously not tomorrow, but the following Wednesday, we're going to have Frank Frazetta's grandson, Frankie Frazetta, on the show. He is going to be broadcasting himself live from the Frazetta Museum to show us the originals and to talk about them. I met him, my girl and I were out there last weekend. We were up in the Poconos for a long weekend getaway and a writing retreat. And I was about 10 miles from the Frazetta Museum. I think I have to go here. It's one of my favorite pulp sci-fi and fantasy artists from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even up into the 2000. He died in 2010. So the land, the house, and the museum still belong to the main Frazetta family. 70 acres, I think, which includes a man-made pond, fishing pond. I showed some photos on Twitter. I can always show them again, but that was fun. Hung out there for just about 3 hours, getting the tour. Bought a shitload of swag and books and T-shirts, and then we came back to the cabin, and I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, you know what? He'd be a good guest. We were like immediate friends hanging out. I was like, this is kind of cool. So like the next day I called the museum again, and I guess I talked to his mom. I said, hey, yeah, Frankie Frazetta gave us the tour. It was really great. We hung out and had a great time. Is he around? I can talk to him. He's like, oh, yeah, sure. And she's like, well, wait a minute. He's at the museum giving a tour. Let me give you his cell phone number.
Okay.
I'm like, all right. So I text messaged him. I told him, I reintroduced myself. I said, your mom gave me your number. And I told him who I was. And he's like, oh, yeah, that sounds really awesome. I'd love to do that. Here's my email. Let's work out the details. And we did. We've been talking back and forth for a little bit. So he'll be on the show next Wednesday, which would be kind of cool. So I think it's going to be a good talk and a good tour of the museum again.
Oh, definitely. So, that ought to be real fun.
Yeah. So, yeah. You have anything going on, Robert?
I am still thinking about launching a new independent show that I want to do. Trying to decide if it's even going to be worth my time and effort. And because it's not something that I think is going to make any money. It's not that kind of a thing, but it's one of the things, kind of like some of the stuff you and I do before a show when it's just the two of us and the kind of conversations we have, but more... Yeah. But still kind of themed within the geek sphere of things as far as movies and gaming and stuff like that. So just kind of a short opportunity to hang out with certain people and chat for like an hour or so. And so I'm just kind of working out the details as far as when I want to do it, because obviously I don't want to put it up against someone else's show, because probably 5 people are going to watch it anyway. So I don't want to... Yeah. So I'm not trying to be self-deprecating or anything like that. I'm just trying to be, realistic as far as I know if I get a girl on and she shows her boobs, then I'll get 1,000 followers and super chats and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want to do anything like that because there's no value in it to me. And I don't want to do something where I'm doing what everyone else is doing as far as hopping on this person bad, this movie bad. I'd much rather spend an hour talking about the actors in Crawl and why it's such a great movie, as opposed to why this newest edition of D&D is probably going to suck and isn't even close to anything Gygax or Arneson created. And because you can get that everywhere else. So I'd rather do something.
The 6th edition that's coming up.
Yeah. So I'd much rather do kind of my own thing that's fun for an hour and a half, and we actually enjoy ourselves. And obviously you'd be a part of that, is depending on when it is as time permits. But it's just something I'm working on, just to do this a little bit more often, because I have fun doing this. I enjoy our chats. I enjoy when we have a guest, and I'm just trying to figure out a way of kind of branching that out, instead of just hopping on in the middle of the night, playing an album in its entirety and talking about it, and then deleting it later before the copyright strike hits. So yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so that's pretty much it. I'm still waiting to see what goes on in Germany this year, as far as whether I will be traveling to Germany for a certain gaming convention. I did just get some new Das Schwarze Auge gaming product in the mail yesterday from Germany, which I'll probably post pictures of that on Twitter and Instagram if you guys listening follow me there. So but that, and I've got some more toys in. So I've got boxes of unopened toys that have come from Japan and elsewhere. I'm just like, when I got
you should like an unboxing video too every now and then.
I honestly could do that. I've thought about that, or just sitting here and like playing with one of my toys for an hour. This is one of my new monkey action figures. So there you go. Take a look at that.
If you did like a 10 or 15 minute clip unboxing, I think that would be very popular. And maybe give like a story about it real fast.
Maybe
and a music anecdote, or just the history around the toy.
Yeah, I've thought about it. I mean, other guys unbox their stuff, but I mean, there are guys that get the toys sent early so that they can unbox it to promo figures. And while I do get some promo stuff from certain companies, I don't want to take advantage of that kind of stuff too much. But
see,
I don't know. Maybe I will.
Excel Self agrees with me. He'd watch that, right? Who else is in the chat that would watch a 10-minute video of Robert doing an unboxing, talking about his one of his hobbies and things he likes to do? I would watch it.
Okay.
I mean, I'd watch it either way, but I fully support 10, 15-minute videos, because you're going to get. I think you get more engagement.
Yeah. I might throw something up like that out there, because I mean, it would tie into to the show idea I had anyway, which was more longer format. But I mean, it would tie in as a good extension for that. So yeah. I've seen other people do it too, Chris. That's why I'm wondering if I should even bother, because I mean, you really need another guy playing with his toys for 10 minutes.
Well, it's how you do it, I guess. Because I could say the same thing about Masculine Geek. Oh, there's other shit. Well, actually, now there's not really too much out like what we do.
No, and plus, I look at what we do is every Wednesday night we get together and hang out and have a drink and talk about stuff. At least our fireside chats. Obviously, our gaming is its own separate thing, and when we have a guest, it's a separate thing. But I look forward to it, because it's like every Wednesday night I get to hang out with Vince and TJ and maybe Drew and maybe Noble, and we hang out for an hour or two and kind of talk about stuff and talk about the week, and then we go on to our own thing. So I look at it more for hanging out with you guys than, wow, did we get 100 people watching? Did we get 1,000 people watching? How many super chats? I don't care. I probably should care about that stuff, but I care more about hanging out and talking to like you and TJ and Drew and Noble and the guys. So that's
I get it. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
This is not a money-making thing.
Yeah. So we'll see,
Just
Chris.
hang out.
We'll see. Excel stuff. Thank you guys. I appreciate
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for everyone in the chat that dropped by. Anyone who's going to watch or listen to us later. Thanks for joining us as always. It's good to have you all in here chatting and bantering back and forth. Okay. Well, we gave you some updates. We're going to be back on tomorrow night, same time. One of the best days of the week with one of the best shows on the internet. One of the best shows on the internet, Masculine Geek. And we'll be continuing Ralla's AD&D campaign. So join us again tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern. And let's take us out now. That's not what I wanted. What the fuck was that? That's kind of cool, though. What is that? Countdown. Hang on. Let's see. Okay. Cool. That's actually pretty good for when you're starting your show, not ending it. So, let's put on the appropriate end of the show.